Hey there, I'm John.
And I'm Josh.
And we are talking about Week 5 of the 2021 college football season. And wow, Week 5
fun
already.
Week, man.
Yeah. This is a fun week. This has
Fun
got
week.
a lot of games. So we're going to try and hit them and tell you what we think about what's coming. First of all, we have number 8, Arkansas. They're going to be at number 2, Georgia. So Arkansas, those Razorbacks, they are playing lights out. Best football we've seen Arkansas play in a long time. Do they have what it takes to even stand a chance against Georgia, though?
I will say this. If I was a betting man, I think I would take at least the line because Georgia's like a 20-point favorite right now. I think that's fairly disrespectful towards Arkansas. Defensively is where I think Arkansas is going to be a little different than some of the previous teams Georgia has faced, right? The reason the Clemson game was so close is because Clemson could compete defensively.
Yes.
If you have a good defense, you can at least compete with Georgia because Georgia's offense isn't, in my mind, spectacular. Yes, they've gotten a lot better as the season moved on and as they've gotten players.
And they got 62 points last week.
But it was against Vanderbilt,
it was
right?
against Vanderbilt.
Yeah, so I think Arkansas comes in here. I think it's going to be smash-mouth, fun football. I think it's closer than people think. I'm not going to be bold enough to say Arkansas wins, but I think at least it's a fun game.
And it's a pretty riveting game for next week.
Sure.
That's one to keep your eyes on. Number 14, Michigan's going to be at Wisconsin after Wisconsin had this disappointing loss to Notre Dame this past week. But does Michigan have what it takes?
I am by no means a Michigan fan.
Okay.
I don't love Michigan, anything like that. But right now I'm really excited at the aspect of finally having a Michigan State game that's interesting again. Right? So I'm kind of rooting for them to really do well until that game because I just think it would be so fun to have a high-ranked Michigan State game.
That is a fun one.
That being said, a lot of people are saying this is finally Harbaugh's year to beat Ohio State, to do all these massive things. So Michigan has pressure on them again. It's been a while since people had these expectations. So my question is, are they going to choke like they usually choke? And Wisconsin is a team that could be easily overlooked right now after, a massive score gap. But it wasn't that big of it was a close game, man. I'm telling you, it was a close game. Yeah. So Michigan better watch out.
Yeah. Alert, Michigan.
Yeah.
Louisville, they're going to number 24 Wake Forest.
3-1 and 4-0.
Yeah.
I don't remember who Louisville lost to, but 3-1, no matter what, is a decent. Granted, one of the teams they fought against was FSU, and you might as well scrap that as a FCS game because FSU is one of the worst teams I've ever seen in my life.
0-4, by the way. First time in a long time.
I think I'd go with Wake Forest here. It's been interesting to watch. I think this college football season has been very exciting. A lot of different teams that you don't usually see ranked and different things like that. But undefeated Wake Forest, at home, I'm going with Wake Forest.
Okay.
Yeah.
Another really interesting one.
For sure.
Number 7, Cincinnati, undefeated in this season, is against number 9, Notre Dame, also undefeated. What do we think is going to happen here?
Massive.
It is massive.
If Cincinnati wins this game and goes undefeated, I genuinely believe they make it to the playoffs as the first ever Group of 5 team to do so.
Okay.
I do not think they win this game. I do not think they beat Notre Dame at Notre Dame. Am I impressed with Notre Dame? By no means. Have I been impressed with Cincinnati? Also by no means. So I think it's going to be a great game, and if Cincinnati pulls off the upset, great for them. But I do think Notre Dame wins this game. I really do.
All right. I suspect as well.
Yeah.
Then another really big game as well. You have Lane Kiffin, number 12, Ole Miss, is coming in to Tuscaloosa to play number 1 Alabama, and Alabama did great last week against Southern Miss, but it was Southern Miss. So, does Lane Kiffin have Saban's number?
Here's what I have to say. At the beginning of the season, I said Alabama was going to lose 2 games in the regular season, and I said one of them was going to be to Ole Miss. Now, if you notice, I don't have this in my Week 5 upsets. That's because I'm not confident enough in that pick to actually put it there.
Okay.
Matt Corral is the type of quarterback who would beat Alabama. Right? He's the style. You got most of the time when you see an Alabama team lose, it's because of some quarterback who runs around in the pocket for 8 minutes and makes some crazy throw and gets lucky. That's what Matt Corral has been doing.
Yeah.
Ole Miss has a tendency of being that team that beats Alabama.
They've done it before.
They've done it 2 years in a row before.
Yeah. It's
been a little bit since they've done it.
Yeah.
Number 12, Ole Miss, but it's at Alabama. I think that's the toughest part.
I think Alabama, they've got some huge questions defensively.
Yeah.
And they have got to figure out defensively how to shut other teams down.
Mm-hmm.
And as you said, when you've got a quarterback like Matt Corral, that's a tough order. So Alabama, this is your week that you have got to prove you deserve that number 1 spot.
I agree with that. And Nick Saban knows how to prove.
He does
so
know
we'll
how
see
to do
what
that.
happens.
Yeah. All right, then you have number 11, Ohio State. They're going to be at Rutgers.
I think this is an interesting game. Rutgers almost beat Michigan last week, right? It was a 7-point game. I think the final score was 20-13. And Ohio State, it kind of reminds me of Clemson this year in my mind. I just have not been impressed with anything that they've done. So I think Rutgers really do have a chance to beat Ohio State. I don't think it happens
But you didn't put it in your upset
I'm
alert.
not putting my upset, but I do think Rutgers have a solid chance to beating Ohio State.
All right, Nick, what do you think about that?
Yeah, we'll see.
All right, then you have Nevada's going to be at Boise State. Nevada sometimes gives Boise State a hard time.
Yeah, Nevada was almost ranked, and then they played Kansas State and kind of got their butts kicked.
Yeah, they did.
And then obviously Kansas State just lost to Oklahoma State, so they're not looking as big and mighty as people kind of thought they might be.
Yeah. So Boise can't sleep on this one.
Yeah, you can't sleep on this game.
But they should.
It should be a win for Boise.
Yeah. And
they just came off
Boise's got to figure out defensively how to
stop the run game and how to have a run game. Two things that if we keep going down the season, Boise has the 4th winningest remaining schedule as far as teams go. I think it's like 6 still undefeated teams on their schedule or something ridiculous like that. So it's a very, very tough remaining schedule for Boise State. If they don't figure out some of these things, they're in trouble. So we'll see what happens against Nevada. I'm happy it's at home. I like that.
Yeah. Then you have number 10, Florida is going to be at Kentucky. And this one seems like it feels like, Florida's just going to go in and blow Kentucky's doors off.
It seems so. Kentucky's undefeated, and they've done things in the past. But I mean, they struggled against Missouri, who's not very good.
They're not very good.
Struggled against one or two another team. I'm trying to remember who also wasn't good. I think Florida probably wins pretty handily. I think it's just fun to mention since Kentucky is still undefeated right now.
That's right.
Because you never know. Maybe they'll come out and just give every single last bit of energy that they have and somehow beat Florida. You never know. But I do think Florida wins.
That's a stretch.
Yeah.
But we'll see. Then you have number 21, Baylor is going to be at number 19, Oklahoma State. So Oklahoma State is now ranked after last week's win.
So is Baylor.
Baylor. Yeah.
Yeah, so shout out to Baylor. Thank you for getting my upset correct and beating Iowa State. I do not think they beat Oklahoma State. And my reasoning for that is solely because Oklahoma State's at home. I think if it was vice versa, these teams are very evenly matched. I think the home field advantage is going to be the main reason that Oklahoma State wins this game.
All right. All right. We'll see. Liberty. They're going to be at UAB. We're mentioning this one because both teams are 3-1. So it feels like Liberty might have the edge here in my mind. But I could be wrong.
Malik has been slightly disappointing so far this season. Definitely not the Heisman star.
Not what he looked like last year either.
Yeah. But that being said, I do think Liberty also wins this game. It's at UAB, so it's here in Birmingham, which is it's going to be a fun game, I'm sure. But I don't
know that UAB's home crowd gives an advantage.
Right? Yeah,
they're not quite there yet.
No, not yet. They're still recovering. They're still bringing themselves back. Yeah, I agree.
Then you have number 22, Auburn. They're going to be at LSU. Auburn struggled with Georgia State.
I'm honestly shocked that Auburn's still ranked.
I'm sort of shocked too.
I mean, Georgia State, man. That's struggling against a Sun Belt team that isn't Coastal or App State is just embarrassing. Yeah. Right?
Yeah.
Or UL Lafayette. They deserve something, even though they lost to Texas.
Yeah.
LSU, people kind of wrote off at the beginning of the season because they lost to UCLA.
Yeah.
But UCLA is not that bad.
UCLA is
We've realized that. The only loss they have is to a fairly talented Fresno team. I have a hard time picking this game. I really do. Does Bo Nix start? Does TJ start? Does LSU have as many injuries as they had last week? I mean, they struggled against Mississippi State, who I don't think is a very good football team. Yeah. So really, I do not know what's going to happen in this game. I just don't. We'll see what happens.
I'm not sure either.
Yeah.
Honestly, I feel like Auburn should be able to pull it out if they can figure some things out.
It's at LSU. It's at Death Valley.
That's a big deal.
I just don't know.
That's a big deal. See. Arizona State's going to be at number 20, UCLA. Speaking of UCLA, Arizona State.
Late night Pac-12 has been fun as of the past couple weeks. It really has. And I'm accounting BYU in that late night Pac-12 because they've been a against a lot of those teams. And they are the only loss that Arizona State has, 27-17, I think. UCLA needs to bounce back here. I mean, they just lost to Fresno. They're probably pretty disappointed, right? They're probably
sure
like, man, it was a
thought they were
going
to keep on moving up, and they were sort of the UCLA. The Pac-12 honey besides Oregon. Yeah.
I'm very curious how this game goes. I think UCLA wins in the end, but like I think the Pac-12 has more balanced and talented teams than people actually realize in terms of like UCLA and Arizona State. Obviously, like Stanford and the traditional powers aren't gone, but even like Oregon State right now is kind of impressive to me. Yeah. So we'll see what happens.
All right. Listen, upset genius.
All right. Let's see what happens.
Let's give it to us.
5-3 on the year. I like this first game. I really do. It's a Friday night game. I think if you had time to watch it, 100% do. But it's number 5 Iowa at Maryland.
And Maryland is 4-0.
And Maryland's 4-0.
Yeah.
The Tagovailoa brother, I believe his name is Talia.
Talia.
This is an interesting matchup. Really is. 2 undefeated teams. An Iowa team that barely beat Colorado State last week, 24-10. I like Maryland in this matchup. I really do. And I honestly think they win by more than 10.
Okay.
So we'll see what happens. Okay. But I like Maryland in this matchup.
That's big. What's your next one?
Next one is, I'm honestly disappointed I can even pick this as a game because I don't understand how Clemson is still ranked. But it's number 25 Clemson. It's at Clemson, and it's Boston College coming to their house.
Okay.
Here's the thing. This is a risky pick. I don't love it because Boston College has played absolutely nobody. Their best win this season is against Missouri in overtime.
Yeah.
And Missouri's really just not the best football team.
Yeah.
But we'll see. A 4-0 Boston College and a Clemson who can be scored on. We saw that against NC State.
Yes, we did.
But their defense is still really talented. Don't get me wrong. Yeah. But, I mean, as long as you stop Clemson's offense, which is pretty doable, you got a chance against them, right?
That's true.
So we'll see what happens.
Okay, we will see. So join us when we return to talk about the results of Week 5.
Go Broncos.